He defied the odds. As a huge underdog going into the fight, Johnny Walker flies to China in their time zone to fight their next rising star and defeats him via calf kicks. He refused to be on the receiving end of another highlight reel knockout, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Johnny Walker won the fight by tapping into some fight IQ. This was actually the most intelligent win of Johnny Walker's career. Do you remember in the fight when he wanted to silence his corner for a second? He told him to stop talking, almost as if he already figured out his opponent. I've never seen Walker communicate to his corner mid-fight like that. And the reason why he did it was because his feints were working. Notice gradually throughout the fight, he was using that right hand feint, leaning it forward to distract Jeang with that bait. And the reaction from Jeang would open up a leg kick. Jeang slightly leans his upper body away, which is going to open up the leg for a split second. After multiple success throughout the fight, he confirmed the result he needed. So here again, extends the right hand, Jeang leans away, opening up his leg. And this came after plenty of landed calf kicks prior. And here when he hurts Jeang, he extends the right hand again, feinting that bait in front of his opponent. And Jeang yet again gives the exact same reaction, leans his upper body away, opening up his leg for Johnny Walker to crush the calf with that feint to calf kick combination. Colliding it so hard that it looked like he actually hurt himself with it too. When he stepped with his right leg, it seemed shaky for like a split second. He steps away, seeing a wounded mountain tiger. The strategy worked for Johnny Walker, and he commits to it again effectively. Right hand feint, gets Jeang distracted on it again. This time he tries to parry it and land with his right straight through the center, but opens his leg to another calf kick. He does land the punch, but when your base has been chopped down, it's difficult to build power off of it, as the power from punches do start at the legs. And at that point, it was hurting Jeang to stand. And another one for good measure, Johnny Walker slams another calf kick that gets Jeang grimacing on the ground. And Johnny Walker rains down ground and pound shots, fire and brimstone, falling on top of Jeang, who grabs the cage to rotate around, taking away Johnny Walker's back position. So we're going to get to Walker landing some shots to the back of the head. We do have to also point out that Jeang Mingyang did grab onto the fence that took away Johnny Walker's position. And there goes a downward elbow to the back of the head. I don't know if that evens it out, but man, that was a crushing shot. He literally lifted it above his head as high as he could and slammed that elbow down to the back of the head that dropped him off of his knee. And later came a hammer fist to the back of the head, which also knocked Mingyang off of his knee. Just blatant back of the head shot yet again. And that's the one that led up to the finish of the fight. Jeang Mingyang could not defend the punches after that. He wasn't even trying to stand up. He wasn't trying to defend. For certain, those shots had to have contributed to some finish there, but I still just don't think he was able to stand up regardless. I think he was going to get finished no matter what. It's not great to see Walker land shots like that because he was the one in control in those positions. Jeang wasn't turning with the shot. Coming off the 2-fight loss streak where he got viciously knocked out in both of those fights, he really just tried to secure this win no matter what. So it was a great finish for Johnny Walker, but it did start in only a Johnny Walker kind of way. One of the goofiest starts we've ever seen in a fight. He faked a glove touch, which is generally going to put that fighter in an advantage because they have the element of surprise, right? But it caused a surprise for himself because he wound up on his back into full mount. How could one fighter mess up so badly in the beginning of a fight? He shot a takedown, Mingyang was fast enough to defend against it, but Walker spun around him with way too much momentum. He lost balance and Jeang ended up on top. Pretty much just allowed Johnny Walker to stand up later, and he wasn't really cutting off the cage too well. Walker was in constant motion throughout the fight, and Jeang was progressively improving his cage cutting, but in the beginning he wasn't really cutting off the cage and Walker was moving all around the octagon. And because of that, he left so much space between him and Walker that the leg kick started flying, landing early in the fight. So this kick actually lands to the side of the knee, not the calf, but Johnny Walker saw the vision right there. Either it was a game plan going into the fight or it was an adjustment from him. And because there was so much space between them, Jeang resorted to exploding from long range with looping left hooks. This one lands right here, but the rest of those left hooks got halted by Walker's reach. Just a simple extension of the lead arm kept Jeang at bay and himself safe from those punches. Now the biggest mistake that Jeang made in the entire fight was spending too much of the fight roaming around at long range. He would try to explode into his own boxing range, but he never stood there idly. He never kept that position. Every action was an explosion to trying to knock Johnny Walker out. The footwork just wasn't good enough to trap Walker against the fence, so he keeps his target right in front of him. He was constantly reaching at a moving target, throwing a left hook that falls short as Johnny Walker uses his reach to keep necessary distance for himself to evade the punch, causing Jeang to overextend and give himself an exit angle. This also occurred from Zhang's right hand as well, Power punch after power punch, missing because of the lack of distance management. Now, Zhang Mingyang's reach is 7 inches shorter than Walker's, so it's going to stress his abilities to get in close. But he knew this going into the fight. He knew that Walker was all about the attributes. He's powerful, he's long, he's fast, he's super athletic, and he can move around the octagon the whole fight if he lets him. So he has to work off of his techniques, specifically feints, jabs, body shots, and leg kicks. Those could have been the entries for Jeang to get into boxing range on Walker and try to hold that space. But the jab only came in single numbers from long range, and that's never going to beat Walker's jab. Walker's always going to extend his lead hand as well, so Jeang would have to double up on his jab or even triple up on his jab to ensure his closing of space. Body shots can naturally get the head under that lead arm of Johnny Walker, landing his own shot, and then he can build off of that by coming up to the head after. But that's going to require increasing the output of his combinations. Leg kicks can slow down Walker's movement. There's many different ways here that Zhang Mingyang could have entered into his range instead of just exploding at every moment. Because all he needed to do was get past that lead arm. That was it. That was simply it. If he did that, he could have won the fight by landing his punches precisely. He landed 2 body shots in the fight. One, a jab into the chest, and then another time, a right straight to the body, and you see him covering that necessary distance to get in on Walker, but he never built upon that. And those were the only 2 body shots he landed from distance. So there wasn't as much commitment or effort from him to even being aware that he had good results from those shots. They also backed Walker into the fence too, which is the best place he wanted Walker in the fight. Again, just never built upon that. There was a, crazy to say, there was a difference in fight IQ. Johnny Walker was the more intelligent fighter in there, because even with all that wonkiness in the beginning of the fight, he did adjust well throughout and worked off that feint to land the calf kick, which ultimately won him the fight. So he got a great result that he wanted using his strategy, but Jeang mostly did not adjust. The only thing that was noticeable was he was throwing more calf kicks in the second round, which was reasonable. He was trying to slow Walker down, but with one of his calf kicks, he didn't follow up with forward movement. He landed the calf kick and then he himself lengthens the space, retreating from Walker when he needs to move forward. He is not beating Walker at range. And that's the exact moment Walker landed that first wounding calf kick on Zhang Mingyang. There was a big difference in distance management between the two and fight IQ, so it's a great win for Johnny Walker. Huge upset. Most people thought that Zhang Mingyang was going to win this fight and win handily, like first round knockout or something. But Johnny Walker turned the tides of that fight, even with how disastrous it began. He was full mounted at the beginning of the fight. He sprung to his feet, used his footwork to his advantage, saw Zhang's lack of cage cutting, was baiting reactions out of him with that right feint, and took those opportunities with those crushing calf kicks to win the fight. So great win for Johnny Walker, and we'll see. Walker says he's on the path to a title, and his sights have been set on Jan Blachowicz, who does not have a fight, by the way. Blachowicz is on a 2-fight loss streak. 1 split decision to Alex Pereira, and then 1 unanimous decision to Carlos Ulberg. And those 2 fights span 2 years, which is quite a long layoff. And as for Zhang Mingyang, he could fight Alonzo Menafield or something. But for the rest of the card, there were some decent finishes, but the co-main event was a good performance from Aljamain Sterling, given the circumstances of Ortega's weight miss. Out kickboxing Ortega for 4 rounds and then out grappling him in the 5th gives him a solid win, and Ortega's washed. He's just not the same fighter anymore. Fought better in the 5th round, but that was definitely not a vintage Brian Ortega at all. Sergey Pavlovich and Waldo Cortez Acosta was a decent fight, went to a decision. Pavlovich is definitely going to more decisions now, and this one was not because he wasn't committing for a knockout, but it was that Waldo's that tough. It just tanked big shots. That guy has a chin, man. Sumadarji and Kevin Boras was a winning point fight for Sumadarji. It was like Kevin Boras didn't even try to win that fight. He spent the 3rd round in the clinch, as if he was hoping for the fight to end. He had no urgency for a knockout at all, and made the fight very easy for Sumadarji, who just pot-shot at him from distance the entire time. Left straights, left kicks, and right side kicks to the body. And then Tailaki Nuraji beat Kiefer Crosby with some controversy. He blasted Crosby with a downed knee. He got a 2-point deduction, because Crosby decided to continue the fight, and then he just got finished from that. The knee rocked his brain. He continued the fight out of toughness or bravado, and then proceeded to get finished after that. It was just a continuation, like nothing changed. He essentially handed Tailak the win. It didn't seem like he was actually fit to continue because how quickly he got finished after that. He had the opportunity to take the easy way out with the DQ, but you gotta learn from Anthony Smith sometimes. Take that DQ when you have it in your hands. Tough fighter, it's respectable that he didn't, but at the same time, he just lost. He's not gonna get his win bonus. and he could have saved some brain cells. So that was the main card, but other notable wins were Charles Johnson knocking out Lonnie Kavanaugh, which was insane, who was a big favorite going into the fight, but gassed out after expending all of his energy in the first round, performing amazingly there. But he wasn't able to carry that into the second, and Charles Johnson landed a lunging right hook on the defenseless, retreating Kavanaugh. Did not see the punch, had his hands down, and crumbled from that shot on the chin. Great win for Charles Johnson. Kyle Daukaus knocking out Michel Pereira was insane. Pereira walked into a right hook that he did not see at all. Daukaus floored him with the shot, finished the fight on the ground. Another upset win for the card, and a great returning win for him. And then Yiza just made Weston Wilson look like he didn't belong in the UFC at all. Rushed him down, 37-second knockout, easy win. Zhao Long and Su Young Yu had a great fight, and Uran Saudi Baldiev getting the Ezekiel choke against DR Nurgozai, who is, I wouldn't be surprised if DR's cut, honestly, but that's an amazing win for Uran. And that's my quick recap of the card. I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown, and I'll see you guys in the next video.